Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another UK film review interview. And today I'm really happy to be joined by writer, director, and actor Bryan Lamb. Welcome, Bryan.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Well, I'm really excited to talk about your new short film, which is also your first ever short film. Is that right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's called The Supply Teacher. I think it's really good. And so, would it be okay if you could start by telling us what The Supply Teacher is about?
Yeah, so the film is about a neurodivergent autistic supply teacher, and he goes back to teach at his old college, and he meets another neurodivergent character played by myself, and they really discover a real prejudice and a real horrible situation that's going on in the college. And it's really about a story of finding your voice, finding yourself in a situation that's really negative and really dark. But also it really shows the failure of the education system in our country and really shows that there is still a lot of negative and quite toxic support systems going on in schools. So it really shows the two sides, and it's also really a story about hope as well. So it's covering a lot of different themes and a lot of different issues in one film, and hopefully we managed to achieve that with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you did. I like that you were saying that it covers a lot of different topics and a lot of different areas because I think it absolutely does that really well because I
Mhm.
thought that like immediately, finding out that this was a debut project, what I was really impressed with was just how complex the screenplay was.
Mhm.
You have like a central theme that you explore really in detail, in depth, but then you also have these characters that feel really realistic
Mhm.
and like real sort of upsetting power dynamics and different things that are taking place that feel, really authentic. Just could you tell me a little bit about where this specific tale of injustice came from?
Mhm.
Anything you were inspired by? Yeah, go ahead.
It's a mix of a lot of different things. So I'm going to give a little bit of backstory. So I had a really hard time in primary school and college, especially. So I was undiagnosed autistic when I was in primary school, and it was exceptionally hard. There was no support. There was bullying, excessive bullying, because people didn't understand why I was quote unquote different. There was a lot of non, a lot of judgment, a lot of people thinking, "Oh, he's just weird. He's just weird." That was all that was said. And so I had no support. I felt completely on my own. I felt completely that, everything that everything was my fault. It kind of felt like, and high school was much easier because I got an autism diagnosis. I got support. I got things that would made it easier. And then when I went to college, again, it was the same story of not having enough support. Very much. I then started to notice when I was in college this idea of people not being aware or understanding of what autism actually is, because I was told, we don't have enough funding for support. I had a support person actually say to me, because I said I'm in a really dark place right now, I'm really struggling, and this person said, "Oh, it's okay, just go to the doctor and ask for diazepam." It wasn't sort of what can we do to support you,
Yeah.
and I felt very much failed in an educational setting. So when it came down to write this script, and Jack, who's the co-writer, is also the cinematographer and the editor, when we began to write this script, I really said to him, "This is what I want to write down. This is what I want to put down. These feelings of the unjust education system." And he's also neurodivergent himself, so he also understood where I was coming from. So I think we really wrote down feelings of anger and feelings of frustration. And I think looking back at the film, it's a really powerful piece, and
Yeah.
it's a really, yeah, really powerful piece of work, and I'm very proud of it.
Absolutely. I mean, you should be. I mean, I think that's incredible. I think everyone would agree that that's a very sort of brave thing to take that
Yeah,
string of experiences and transpose that onto something that anyone can really watch
yeah,
and reflect on and find engaging and also think about the state of things currently.
yeah,
Interesting that you say that it's a piece born out of obviously sort of anger at a system that's failed you.
yeah,
But that's interesting because, as you said earlier, it's also a very hopeful piece. I mean,
yeah,
something I've spoken about a lot in my review is that I think it's a really positive film in that it offers a couple of like alternatives and a couple of different ideas of different actions that can be done when these systems that are meant to protect you fail you.
yeah,
And that can be seen in both of the main characters in the film and how they navigate the situation. So, despite the fact that it is maybe a film that comes from a place of anger at something that
yeah,
of just this pure injustice, it also I really like that it has this hopeful and optimistic tone about it because I think by doing that you're reaching out to a whole load of people who will connect with this story.
yeah,
But so you, I think it's really cool that you turned to filmmaking as an art form to tell this story after having this experience. And I thought your journey as an artist in some ways has been quite similar to the journey of the supply teacher in that he
mhm,
turns to sort of journalism and a different sort of medium to express something when the educational
yeah.
system has failed him. Um, would you agree that it's similar to how you, as an artist, have turned to your art form to express an injustice?
I think so. I think
Yeah,
so. It's very much because I'd always wanted to get into some kind of form of, not particularly filmmaking. It's really interesting. You know,
yeah,
certain people have the dream of I want to make films since ever since they were a kid, and I didn't really have that. I was more of the, I loved doing acting. I loved doing theatre in particular.
yeah,
I'm an apt and still am a theatre geek. Absolutely love any kind of live theatre. Love film as well. Got into film more in my teens,
yeah,
um, and particularly television. I absolutely loved watching like Doctor Who and all the
yeah.
behind the scenes of that, and wanting to. I was thinking, oh, I'd like to. I originally wanted to direct television.
Oh,
I
really?
originally, I
Okay.
originally wanted to do television directing. I was thinking I'd love to direct like episodes of Doctor Who, Casualty, all those kind of
Yeah,
fun sort of things. And had an idea to do write. I used to write a lot as well when I was younger. Used to like, write short stories and things like that. So I think the path was always there, but
yeah,
I didn't realize that that was the path I was going to take. And yeah, it's a huge, exciting world film, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
absolutely love it. No, I think no, I will agree. Going back to your question about using your art to say absolutely, I think I have always felt that cinema and film and theatre should always challenge your mind.
yeah,
It should always give you, who people say they want to go into film to escape. And for some people, that's great. But I think for film, people who are into film and performance and things, it's, you sometimes like to be challenged. You sometimes like to have films that challenge your expectations. So absolutely. I think it's great to um, get your message across through an art form. 100%.
yeah,
Absolutely agree with that.
yeah. I couldn't agree with you more about using film to sort of challenge people
Yeah,
and how they think because, you know, whilst people like sort of the kind of turn your brain off cinema, and I like different kinds of films like that,
yeah,
the more that happens, the more that people want to escape you should the more that artists should take it upon themselves to challenge that and be on the other side of that and be like, no, let's use things the way they should be used and get you to think while you're watching. And in that way, this film feels like a sort of piece of social realism in some parts. In a way, you like it's confrontational
Yeah.
and thought-provoking, definitely, and yet it places you in a scenario that's not that people may have witnessed, that people surely must have had some awareness of, but maybe if they hadn't taken it upon themselves to think deeply about a scenario like this film gives you the time and the position to place you in that very real perspective.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, could you guide me through a little bit more what it was like writing the screenplay with your collaborator, Jack?
So we started the project in February last year, and it was very important, I think, because I took us we met through mutual friends, and he's a filmmaker himself. He's made some absolutely incredible films. And he said to me, what would you like to write about? What are you feeling? And I told him exactly the story of the injustice I faced around education. And when we began writing, I thought it was very important to show the harshness of issues that neurodivergent people go through,
Yeah.
of not being understood, of real bullying. And I think the process, it was quite an easy script to write because it just flowed. It
Oh,
almost felt
interesting.
like everything that I'd been holding in for that just sort of came out onto the page.
Yeah.
And obviously having a collaborator like Jack, who's also neurodivergent himself, he understood the things that we're going to we wanted to talk about and things. And actually it was interesting because when we were writing, I presumed he was going to direct it.
Yeah.
He because when we wrote it, he asked me, "Oh, would you like to play the character of Alfie, which is the character I play in the film?" And I said, "Yes, I think I'd be great. It's a role I think I could work really well with." So we kind of wrote it in that kind of aspect. But then, I could see the film in my mind. I could see the kind of shots I wanted to do.
Mm.
I could see visually what I wanted to do. So I asked Jack, "Is it okay? Could I direct this?" And he
Yeah.
said yes,
Yeah.
which was huge and an honor, a
Yeah.
real honor. So it was,
Absolutely.
yeah. But no, the script just became so easy, just flowed. It just flowed really well, and
Yeah.
yeah, it
Um,
was
could you give us
pleasant
an
to write.
example of one of the sort of visuals you already had in your mind that you wanted to put on screen?
One of the visuals, and it's in the final film as well, is so as I said, I come predominantly from a theatre background.
Yeah.
And what I really wanted the film to feel like is like you were almost watching this film in real time. Like you were almost watching this in on not I didn't want it to be like a film play, but it almost felt like you were watching it before your eyes. And I wanted it to feel like you're watching something that's deeply uncomfortable and like you shouldn't be seeing this, but you're watching it anyway. And I think as when we were shooting the film as well, we just let the camera roll. We almost performed
Yeah.
it like a play. We just let the camera do all the master shots, just let it roll out, and then we picked
Yeah.
things in the edit. But when we were shooting, it was very much like a play, and I think
Yeah.
that's what the feeling we wanted. We wanted it to. For me, it felt like when we were shooting it, it felt like a hybrid between theater and film, and that I was think
Interesting.
for your first, I think for a debut, hopefully that's what I wanted it to come across as.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting because you're so those there are some early, yeah, like quite unusual for films, just wide shots. Well, quite
Yeah,
unusual these days anyway, that wide shots that just
yeah,
let the two interact. And I really like stuff like that. I like removing like a couple of layers of what we consider cinematic and just watching something. But then once you get into the sort of confrontational shot reverse shot, like when they're talking to the headmaster, I think that works then really effectively because it feels so different to a previous scene, like between the two teachers. But yeah, I really like this dynamic that you and Jack seem to have, because he's as you say, he's the credited cinematographer and editor. Sort of feels like he took the reins on the more technical side of the
Yeah,
filmmaking, whereas you like brought your creativity and your messages that you wanted to convey, and you really took the lead on like the storytelling.
yeah,
Um, do you think that you learn a lot from each other in this process?
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Because I knew when I said I wanted to direct this, I knew I had to really up my game in terms of the visual language of film. I had to educate myself, I had to learn myself, and Jack really took the time with me to teach me skills in that. We actually
Yeah.
went through, okay, what is a master shot? What are different angles? He really helped me in the language of that. And I think reversing that, I um taught him what live performance can feel like.
Mm,
Because I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, when you see this, but I'm not sure if he'd ever filmed something in that way of just having the camera not really move, not
yeah.
really do camera movement, just keep it still, focus on the action. I'm not sure if he was used to filming that way. So it was definitely and then also as well for when we were doing scenes on set, when I said cut, I said, okay, Jack said, okay, do you want to go into this angle? And I was thinking, yeah, because I've never really worked that way. I've always worked in a proscenium stage way where everything's just forward facing.
Yeah.
You see the action on stage and then that's it. But obviously in film you're cutting, you're doing different angles. So we both kind of brought our
Yeah.
own kind of unique strengths to that.
Yeah. I really, really like the fact that you've come from a perspective of theatre because people like me who have just like completely been tunnel vision, like film, language, everything throughout their
Yeah.
life, and then get to making a film and they're thinking just purely in that language, won't come at it from that perspective. But I like the fact that you have brought it is different. This film feels different in that way, letting it just play out, and I love that kind of thing. But then, yeah, I feel like Jack brings definitely this level of cinematic knowledge also to the table,
Exactly.
which is really, really cool. I was just going to ask, outside of sort of exposing something that's still a very real problem in a school setting, what more explicitly, what kind of message do you hope this film sends out to either neurodivergent people who know this sort of situation all too well, or sort of neurotypical people who have maybe witnessed an issue like this, are
Mhm.
uh, maybe want to learn more about how to intervene or sort of, or at least empathize and understand deeper why this is
Mhm.
such a deeply rooted issue and is still unsolved.
I think, first of all, the message is very clear that this is wrong.
Yeah.
I think that is the first baseline that I wanted to share is that this behavior should never be accepted. This behavior should never be allowed. This, the fact that still in 2026 now we're in, that there's still not enough support is blatantly wrong. Another message really is that for any neurodivergent people who are going through this, there is hope there.
Yeah.
Even in the darkest moments of not just education, life, but life in general, sometimes life can be really hard. There is still moments of you can find someone that will help you. And I think that the character of the supply teacher that we wrote in the film is that voice of someone that will understand and will help you. So I think those are mainly the two messages that we really wanted to convey.
Yeah, I was literally just about to mention your protagonist Robin feels like played by Nick Field really feels like that sort of beacon of moral hope in the film. And I also love that we go back home with this character, that the film is
Yeah.
not limited to this school setting, because if it was limited to the school setting, it would feel slightly more like a sort of film I've seen before,
Yeah.
like
I think, yeah,
presenting with a situation that we then have to confront. But we go back home with him and we see
yeah.
his relaxed setting, his personal life, and the whole
Mhm.
character sort of opens up, and it's such an interesting aspect of him. Yeah.
And I think again, coming back to the theatre thing, that's what you do in a stage show. You go to different places.
Yeah.
You go to act one is maybe this place, and the second scene is this place. So I think again, I brought a lot of my actor and theatrical background into this,
Yes.
which I think helped
Yeah.
in a way. But then also again learning through the film
Yeah.
process as well. But no, I think as well showing the fact that the teacher also has a life.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
is really important as well because and as you say, films that are just set in one, like you've seen that film, a
Yeah.
short or
Yeah.
set in one place. It's kind
Yeah.
of boring. You
Yeah.
kind of, you kind of, you kind of want another setting, another place to go into. So yeah, I think it's great that we showed that.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely one of my favorite aspects of the film. It just sort of excited me when I saw that we were getting a different location,
Yeah,
different feeling, different scene feeling, and also that yeah, it gave the story some more sort of punctuation. It wasn't
yeah.
throwing everything at us at once. We had a moment to breathe and reflect. Um, what was it like acting alongside Nick, and while also directing and tuning both yours and his performances?
Yeah. So, excuse me, we did a lot of run throughs before we
Yeah.
started filming. And also, it helps that Nick was a teacher before being an actor.
Oh, really?
He'd actually taught himself. He is autistic himself, so I think he again. Uh, Speaking of which, all of the cast really respected and understood why we wanted to tell this story.
Mm,
So it felt like a really respectful place on set, and it felt like a really, yeah, a place that yeah, felt very respected, and people understood why the story was telling. So I worked with Nick a lot on. So at first, when the teacher comes in, he's very much gentle. He's very much, my name is Robin. What can I do? So I wanted to work with Nick on this feeling of this teacher genuinely cares at the start
yeah.
and wanted to show that, wanted to work with him on that. And acting and directing at the same time wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. Because
Cool.
before we started shooting, I was literally thinking, "Oh God,
Mm,
like, this is how am I going to do this?" But again, coming from another theatre background, I used to when I was in theatre, you used to do exercises of where the teacher used to say, "Okay, you're going to create a play from start, middle, and end. Go." And you
yeah.
were basically self-directing yourself. You were
Oh,
creating the
wow.
story yourself. You were working with other people, and you used to say, "Okay, we're gonna go on stage right, and how is this gonna play out?" So I think it almost felt like I was doing that, but the only difference is that the script was already pre-written and we had a camera. That
Yeah.
was it.
Yeah.
So I felt very at home. I felt very at home directing and acting as well. So yeah, I think it was a good balance, and hopefully
Yeah.
we got that right.
Absolutely. And what would you say was your favorite aspect of those three out of writing, directing, and acting? Did you have a favorite, or did all three just fuse together as one thing?
Yeah, I think all three of them fused. I think looking back at the film,
Mm,
it's very hard to see myself acting in it
yeah.
because I think because when you're directing, you're focusing on, okay, because I was also focusing on, okay, how does this angle look? Watched playback every single time I was doing something. So I was really mainly focusing on directing when I was on set. I mean, I was still acting, obviously, but
Yeah.
then, when you watch it back, you're kind of like, oh, not that I
Yeah.
don't, I think, it's good. It's a good performance, but it is sort of like I was focused mainly on the directing on set rather than the acting side. The
Yeah.
acting's always been my first love. So I think,
Yeah.
but no, I think all three of them blended, but I think probably directing for this one. I think, yeah, probably directing.
Very cool. Very cool. And just final question, what is next for you? And I mean, I hope you want to keep making movies, but do you want to explore this kind of topic further or like creatively, are there other things you want to write about?
Yeah, so I think the next sort of couple of months, I'm actually making a documentary. That is
Oh,
the next thing
yeah.
that we're doing. I can't say much on that just now because there's a few sort of copyright legal things we have to sort out. But that is hopefully the next thing. And yeah, maybe write some other, maybe go into a completely different genre
Yeah.
for the drama film. Maybe go, I don't know, just see what happens, see what opens up. But
Yeah.
no, surely I don't know, we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Well, I'm very excited to sort of witness your journey. It's very exciting that this is just your first film and that there's so much more to sort of explore with you. But yeah, thank you very much for this, Brian. It's been fantastic.
Thank you,
Um,
you're welcome. It's been great.
yeah. All right. Well, I hope to see more of your work soon. Yeah.
Thank you so much.